Hey everybody, it's Chase with AV Pop Culture again, and we are back. It is another Saturday night. That can only mean one thing. It is time for Midnight Movies After Dark with Chase and AV Pop Culture. So pour yourself a drink, pop that tape in. I got you. Let's go do this. Well, it's late night Saturday night again, boys and ghouls out there in TV land. It's almost the witching hour. Time when the veil between this world and the spirit world is its thinnest. It's a time for monsters, a time for mischief, and a time for the Midnight Movie with Chase here at AV Pop Culture. All right, so we are back again with another midnight movie. Some midnight movie madness coming at you. And tonight, boy, do we have one that is madness, a total mind fuck of a movie here. To this day, I've seen this film so many times, I can't tell you. I'm a filmmaker, I'm a writer. I consider myself a pretty intelligent guy. I still get confused by Videodrome. But one thing I am not confused about is its midnight movie status. This movie has it all. It is David Cronenberg. So that should give you one tip right there and let you know. I mean, look at the cover. If you haven't seen Videodrome, see Videodrome. This stars James Woods and Deborah Harry. This is one of James Woods' most iconic roles. And I can't think. He's done some others because I could think John Carpenter's Vampires could very well be a midnight movie as well. You could make an argument there with the over-the-top blood and everything else. But when you think about setting at home or setting in a theater, let's paint the picture for you here. You are going out with a couple of friends and you're in a small town. It's easy to say a big city, but let's say a small town. And there's that old 2-screen movie theater that's kind of run down, but they still have the marquee lit up. They still have a blinking neon sign in the window. You walk in, there's popcorn on the floor. You smell that popcorn. It is kind of that stale smell. You smell maybe spilled beer and Coke on the floor. You look over there at the candy and you're not sure if you want to eat it from this place. You're in that kind of a theater and it is midnight and they are doing a screening of Cronenberg's Videodrome. That's where you're at. And you go and you get your drink and you sit and you park yourself down. And there you are. And their Videodrome is. And there is James Woods on screen as Max Wren about to mind fuck himself and you. Because that is what this movie is. And you want to talk about this film was actually banned in some countries. This film was banned. It has a lot of, let's just say, it does have a lot of social commentary, which I'm not always the biggest fan of in movies. I've talked about that before, especially with a midnight movie. You don't want to be preached to. This doesn't do that. It doesn't put that above the story. That it blends it into a sci-fi horror mystery suspense thriller that you're not even sure what the message was at the end. You go back and forth on, is James Woods, is he a good guy, a bad guy? Is he a victim? Is he the villain? Are the people who are doing this to him, are they the villains? Are they the victims? What's going on here? But this movie has a little bit of everything, and I kind of just wanted a kind of account of what this movie has so that you know what we're getting into here if you haven't seen it. Let's just start with one of the things I think that every midnight movie should have in some way. It should have some sex appeal. As I mentioned in the first episode, you got Elvira that said there's nothing wrong with G-rated movies as long as there's lots of sex and violence. Well, when it comes to sex and nudity, Videodrome has that because, well, it's Cronenberg. So you have a woman that gets off on getting whipped and a woman that gets off on being hurt and things like that. And she really enjoys it to the point where even James Woods' character, Max Wren, is like, hey, there's something wrong with you. And this is from a guy who is so damn sleazy. He's looking for new content for his movie or for his TV station. And he's so damn sleazy, he turns down a porn video because the way it was shot is too highbrow. That is the bar that we're setting here. The main character turns down a porn film for his TV station when he's looking for trashy content because it's too highbrow. That should tell you something right there. That if that doesn't set the bar for a midnight movie, I don't know what does. But you have, as I mentioned, you have a brief scene. You get to see a brief scene of that pornographic movie that he turns down. There's abstract, like different parts of sexual torture and sexual gratification from torture. You see what amounts when they find this pirated signal, which is what Videodrome is. It's a pirate signal that they find when he's looking for content that is sort of a hidden signal. And they find this, and it's basically like a torture porn snuff film. And you see a large portion of an episode where a woman is getting whipped and beaten to death while naked. And he thinks it's like a game show. That's how twisted this is. And that kind of ties back, and as the themes go on, and we'll get there, that ties back to Cronenberg's theme with this little midnight masterpiece here of the dangers of technology and moral decay of society. And those are kind of themes that you would see in midnight movies. They just may not be as overt as what Cronenberg does here. And you talk about pertinent now. I mean, this movie is 40 years old, 41 years old. Came out in 1983. And he's warning about the decay of moral fiber in society and the part that technology plays in that and how technology can consume us. Long live the new flesh. He's talking about technology is the new flesh in the movie. So here we're already twisted. We've got technology becoming made flesh. We've got snuff films. We've got porn films. We've got sleazy station directors. And we're just a couple minutes into the movie. This is a midnight movie. 100%. Let's just make sure we've checked off all of the ingredients here of a midnight movie. I have my notes right here because, you know, no good midnight movie goes without notes. You see James Woods having sex with Deborah Harry, and this is where she gets off. He just takes a straight pin and pierces her ear. This causes her to have an orgasm. I mean, this is where we're going, Cronenberg. This is what you want to do. Yeah, it's a midnight movie. Now, this is interesting because it's one of the movies, as I mentioned in the first episode, usually you identify a midnight movie by its attaining its cult status because it was either not taking itself seriously to start with, and everybody knows that, so they just have fun with it. It becomes one of those bad movies that's so bad it's good. Or you have one of those movies like Showgirls or Warriors. I use those two as an example because they're a perfect example. They took themselves very seriously really a lot of effort in the acting, the production, everything else. They were supposed to be serious films. And they are serious films, but they flopped so hard. They were so serious, and maybe in some ways they become over serious and almost like caricatures of themselves. But then later, they find a home. They find a home on video. They find a home, and people start talking about them where they don't have to worry about being judged about going to the theater to see it in a new release when everybody is poking fun at it. And then people start to appreciate what those people were doing. And then it's loved for all the things that it is and that it isn't. That's the two main styles of midnight movies. But then comes a movie like Videodrome. And Videodrome is one of those movies that took itself serious from the start. It takes itself serious now. Everybody took it serious when it was released. It had a profound effect on people one way or the other, critics and fans alike. It is part of the Criterion collection. So it's taken very seriously. It's been released over and over again. You have a very highbrow, ethereal type writer, director in Cronenberg. And it finds a home in cult status because of the content, because of the appreciation for what it is. Because while mainstream and highbrow to a degree, it's not one that is going to be watched and dissected over and over again because of the other content makes it unacceptable, right? It's got too much exploitation, too much violence, too much nudity, too much sex, too much innuendo, too much non-politically correct satire in it. So it doesn't find a home. It doesn't stay up there with the highbrow. It's one of those that was accepted upon release by critics a lot of times because they want to feel like they are aficionados and that they are sophisticated and they understand this and what was being said and the message of it and the satire, and then they forget it because all those other things make it uncouth to watch. That's where the midnight movie comes in. That's where the cult status comes in right there of a film like Videodrome. Because now it has a home. It has a home with the people who love all of that stuff that the highbrow, so-called highbrow people find uncouth and unacceptable. So it's kind of like the black sheep over there. Well, the people who love like horror and B movies and stuff, we get that. We get the visceral appeal. We understand the human condition and we don't run and hide from it. So we love that part of it. But then we're also smart enough to enjoy a sophisticated storyline. And that's the part that a lot of times critics and stuff miss. Now, not to sound too highbrow, but you guys follow me. You know, I'm a writer, director. I've made movies. Maybe you don't know, I was a teacher. I have a degree in English and history. I have master's degrees in political science and public administration and an MBA. I consider myself to be able to comprehend movies. And I can enjoy any type of movie. But you know what kind of movies I go for more often? I go for horror movies, raunchy comedies, fun stuff, and movies that make you think and twist your brain like Videodrome. So it is here in the midnight movie heart for all of us forever is a film like Videodrome. And it is full of all those things that get frowned upon. And that's what makes us love it. This is the third category of midnight movies. And there's very few entries into that. So we've got breasts, we got boobs, we've got full frontal, we've got James Woods' ass, we've got sex scenes, we've got piercing, we've got whipping, we've got all kinds of stuff there. We've got body horror that is very suggestive in and of itself, guys. When you talk about midnight movies, a scene from a midnight movie, I can't think of a scene, any one scene in cinema that encompasses all that midnight movies are more than James Woods sitting on the couch and having what can only be described as a giant vagina almost open up in his chest stomach area, and him stick his hand inside, and then of course later eventually videotape he sticks inside, and a gun he sticks inside, and he's able to open it up and everything. But can he? Or is he just hallucinating it all? Well, that's something else that makes a good midnight movie, is the mind twisting that goes on. And it is, the whole thing is like a sadomasochistic sex game, odyssey, hallucinogenic mind twist. It's crazy. And it's perfect for a midnight movie. And it is, there is not a movie that, maybe there's not very many movies, but there's few like Videodrome that are so visceral with the sex, the violence, the satire, the commentary on society and things like that, that are still wholly engrossing and engaging and uncomfortable to watch. But it's like a damn train wreck. Like, you can't look away. And then when it's over, you want to see it again. And that's what makes a cult movie. That's what makes a midnight movie. That's what Videodrome is. And so it's got plenty of your TNA in there. It's Cronenberg. It's got it. It's a midnight movie. Violence and gore. Yes, please. There is plenty. You've got the women getting whipped. You've got you've got lots of blood. You've got a hand being eaten. You've got people being shot. You've got women getting slapped, men getting in fights. You've got murders happening. James Wood kills 2 people in the office, and then he sticks the gun inside his hole in his stomach. Is it there or not? That's the question. There could be an argument that at a certain point in the movie, the whole rest of the thing is a hallucination. There's totally an argument there. But I don't know that I'd go with that one necessarily. It could be. I think because of the overall message Cronenberg is trying to get across in the movie, I think he thinks the shit is supposed to really be happening. I think that's the truth. And James Woods. So getting back to, now that we know that we've established the ground rules, that it's got all the sex, violence, nudity, mind twisting themes and everything that you need to make a good midnight movie. Let's get back to the actual movie itself. And James Woods, as I said, he is a sleazy TV station director. And he is looking for content. I mean, we're looking for content these days, boy. It hadn't changed in 41 years. He's looking for content. And he's trying to sell sex and nudity and violence. And they find this station that's pirate signal coming in with a show called Videodrome. That is basically like a snuff video, or a snuff reality show where people are supposedly chosen. They go on there naked. There's sex games. There's whipping, and they end up dead. But he thinks it's fake. He thinks it's all part of the show, right? And so he becomes obsessed with this show and watching more and more and more of it. And as it goes, things start to happen to him, and happen to his lady friend, played by Deborah Harry, who's also obsessed with it. And the more he watches, the more obsessed he becomes with it, the more bad things happen. And then he finds out that there's like kind of two sides to this. That there's the one side that says, and I'm trying to do this without giving it all away if you haven't seen it, but there is one side that says that this show is real, and the show itself is a plant to kill you, and the people who are doing it are evil. And if you start watching Videodrome, it targets basically the sickos in our society, or what these people perceive to be the sickos in our society, causing moral decay, and it causes them to develop brain tumors that will kill them, and it causes them to hallucinate on the way. And maybe that's what's happening to James Woods' character throughout the thing. Is he started watching Videodrome, this is really happening, and these people that are doing it are the bad people, and they've given him a brain tumor, so he's imagining like he gets this big amazing practical effects. That's one of the keys that we got to have, right, for a good midnight movie. And you got Rick Baker working with some groundbreaking effects on this movie, with the hole in the stomach and the big James Woods' big like hand that sort of starts to take him over. That's Rick Baker with some great practical effects. And it all of this could, in that theory, be chalked up to hallucinations caused by a brain tumor implanted in his head by a signal from Videodrome, from they, the bad guys in the government who are trying to kill people. Well, that's one way to look at it. The other way to look at it is James Woods and the people who are defending things like Videodrome, that want the freedom to be able to whip and beat people to death, and have messed up sex games with them, and put that on TV and consume it all no matter what. There's an argument that they're the bad guys, because maybe they are becoming more detached from humanity, more obsessed with technology moving forward. And so they don't value human life, and it takes more and more to sort of turn them on, for a lack of a better word. It takes more and more to turn them on. It takes more and more to get them off. It takes more and more to keep their attention, because they're becoming so desensitized that they are causing the moral decay and the decay of society and the breakdown of society, because they're basically just slaves to the id, to the pleasure principle. The I want satisfaction, I want sex, food, and sleep and entertainment, and nothing else matters. And I'm going to rely on this technology to bring it to me, and that could destroy this society. So you could argue that the people who are defending that way of life, James Woods and the others, and he kind of goes back and forth, but he meets people on that side that are defending that way, and they're saying the people who are trying to stop it are the bad guys. So it's all a matter of a point of view. And this is what we don't get a lot in today's movies, is multiple points of view for you to decide yourself. This presents where either side could be good. Either way of thinking could be good. Either way of thinking could be bad. It presents it either way. It doesn't preach to you which way is good or which way is bad. It actually shows you that each way has bad and good, which is more realistic. And it's up to you to decide, through all these twists and turns back and forth, is Max Wren, is he good? Or is he on the bad side? I mean, this is a guy that's so sleazy that he turned down porn for his TV station, And he got turned on and obsessed by a show that showed a woman basically get raped, tortured, and murdered. I don't know if that makes him a good guy. And he murdered two people, at least two people, at his TV station. Or did he? Depends on if he was hallucinating or not. And that is what makes this a great midnight movie. Videodrome is a total mind scrambler. And people try to break it down in so many ways, and they act like they understand it. And you can understand it in your way. I'm not saying you can't understand it. I mean, I understand what's happening here, but you can watch the movie multiple times and get multiple different leanings each time you watch it. And you can watch it with a group of people and all of them feel differently and have a different opinion about what they watched and what they saw and what the outcome was. But one thing I do think, and that makes for an awesome midnight movie that you see with people, because you can talk about it, you can bullshit about it, you can have fun with it, you can argue about it, you can throw popcorn at each other about it. And that makes a great midnight movie. One thing that I do think that is in there, no matter which side you look at it, is Cronenberg believed that the over-reliance on technology would desensitize us and lead to bad things happening. And 41 years later, it's hard to argue he was wrong. I mean, I'm using technology right now. How much do we use technology in a day? We're attached to our phones like this to the point where people are starting to have problems and having to have corrective surgeries on where their neck and their back meet because they're humped over. All right. It's hard to argue that he was wrong. And those themes are clear no matter which side you pull for. That's where the whole saying comes from. Long live the new flesh, which is just a very cool saying from the movie. Very cool quote. Long live the new flesh. The new flesh is technology. We're giving up our humanity a little bit at a time in exchange for the pleasure principle. We're in and the convenience. And that's what's being said here. The new flesh is becoming technology, your new thing that you worship, the new thing everybody is becoming and becoming dependent on. That's the new flesh, is technology. That's the takeaway from it. And as a midnight movie, it absolutely has it all. Like it has everything that you need, and it's kind of in its standalone category for a midnight movie. This is a great release by Criterion. Now, this has been released a couple times. I'm trying to get my hands on the Arrow released this as well. I do love this release. If you look, it looks like a tape. And there it is. Long live the new flesh. And that's the tape. Nothing says midnight movie like watching Jimmy Woods open up what a pseudo vagina on his chest stomach area and penetrate himself with a VHS tape, right? That has all of the damn commentary that you ever gonna need right there, Jack. That is the commentary right there. Long live the new flesh technology. And 41 years later, Cronenberg, I mean, he's like prophetic as hell. I mean, he might as well been writing down prophecy for the Lord the way it's gone, because we become more and more connected to it. And James Woods in the movie becomes so connected to it that like his hand begins and arm begins to change, and the videotape and the gun become like part of his hand. How much of a part of us are these phones? How much of a part of us are they? Right? Constantly. Who doesn't go somewhere without their phone in their hand? It's like an extension of you. Cronenberg was on that 41 years ago. Long live the new flesh, right? When you think about that, you should probably take a drink of whatever you're drinking while you watch this, because that's pretty deep for a midnight movie, but it is accurate. So Videodrome. Is it a true midnight movie? I think so. Because I think the other type of midnight movie, if it can mess with your mind and make you think and be twisted as fuck, then it belongs being a midnight movie. And, all I can say about that is long live the new flesh. So what do you guys think? What do you think about Videodrome? Are you enjoying this new series, the Midnight Movies, here after dark with Chase and AV Pop Culture? I'm really enjoying these. This is just the tip of the iceberg. You can look for this every single week along with some new series. Some may have come out already. I'm doing dinner and a movie on Friday nights. I'm going to do some family day films and things like that. Lots of series so that you guys can get some good content and get familiar, and we can get a good exchange going back and forth and really dig deep into physical media and movies, because we all love it and that's what we're here for. Physical media. This is a lack of reliance on new technology. Physical media will break you away from Videodrome, from becoming part of the new flesh. We're rejecting in many ways the new flesh, and we're continuing the old ways with better quality, harder work, tactile experience, a real human experience, a real connection with something, versus being desensitized, cold, and disconnected from everything, to the point that everything that you see is actually nothing, and you're becoming nothing. You're becoming technology, ones and zeros, the new flesh.
Long live the new flesh.
Physical media stops that, in my opinion. This is a great midnight movie. I hope you guys have enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments what kind of movies you would like to see me do. I have a big list, but if I use one that you guys call out, I will make sure to give you a shout out. And make sure to tune in next Saturday night for another midnight movie with Chase here in AV Pop Culture After Dark. And until next time, be kind, rewind like always, and I'll see you real soon. Long live the new flesh. Bye-bye.
I know.